Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Hey, baby, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Excited about a lot of fun stuff we're going to talk about today. First of all, I've got a guest, Michael Grosso, going to be talking about a book that he has, and it's a true story about a man who could fly. Now, how did I not know about this guy?
I don't know.
St. Joseph of Copertino, and it's a guy that could levitate. He could literally fly. So I'm really excited to talk to this guy. That's coming up later in the program. Also, we're going to talk about a man who just recently flew, but it was in one of the weirdest ever world records, one that nobody wants to break. So we're going to be chatting about that here in a little bit. And then listen to this. Resistance training not only makes you feel better, it also makes you look better, and it can reverse aging.
Nice.
Makes muscles younger than regular workouts, according to researchers from the Buck Institute for Age Research. This is in Novato, California, and the McAllister University Medical School in Hamilton, Ontario,
So resistance
Canada.
training meaning what?
I think that just means staying home, just resisting the training altogether.
I don't think so.
You don't? That's not what it is? I don't know. I guess I have to look into it then. So resistance training is what they're talking about. I think that's with like bands, like the rubber bands. Isn't that resistance training?
I think so.
I don't know. I guess if I really cared, I would check into it. Coming up, we're going to talk about what special things are happening on this date. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
Thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, February the 24th, and today is World Bartender Day.
Oh.
That's a cool day. You know, I've never been a bartender. I've had a lot of jobs. I've done a lot of things, but I've never been a bartender, and I have a huge amount of respect for somebody who can do that, because not only do they need to be able to make these recipes over and over and over, but they have to do it while dealing with people who are intoxicated. I've been to bars. I've seen what the bartenders have to put up with, and hats off to you, bartenders.
Yeah, some of them can get very unruly.
Oh, yeah.
Happy drunks are fun to deal with.
Happy drunks and
not
fun
everybody
drunks.
is a happy
There's
drunk.
some that are mean drunks. That's not good. Hey, it's also Inconvenience Yourself Day.
Why on earth would anybody want to celebrate that?
I don't know. It's a day to go out of your way, apparently. So inconvenience yourself on World Bartender Day. It is a special one. It's Wednesday, the 24th day of February.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know it's true because you heard it on the radio. Here's a world record nobody wants to break. 29-year-old Matthew McKnight of Connellsville, Pennsylvania, found himself in the really weird position of being a world record holder in the Guinness Book of World Records, even though he didn't necessarily want to be there.
Okay.
He might be there for a while, too, because nobody's going to rush out to break this record. You know what the record is?
What is it?
The greatest distance thrown in a car accident.
Oh.
Yeah. That doesn't sound fun, does it?
How far was he thrown?
Well, Matthew managed to survive being thrown 118 feet.
Wow.
By a car that hit him while he was traveling at about 70 miles per hour. He was struck on October 26, 2001. So this has happened quite some time ago. While he was trying... it says, while trying to help accident victims. Oh, so he was standing still.
Oh, my gosh.
He was helping accident victims along Interstate 376, and he was struck by a car that was going 70 miles an hour.
You know what they say? No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. Anyway, he was
This
thrown
poor guy.
118 feet. I shouldn't
Yikes.
laugh, but the good news is he's okay. This is about 15 miles east of Pittsburgh.
I'm
The
sure
end
he
result-
wasn't unharmed.
No.
He may still be alive, but I have a feeling.
Here's what happened. The end result was 2 dislocated shoulders, a broken shoulder,
Yikes.
a broken pelvis, a broken leg, and a broken tailbone, plus 2 weeks in the hospital and 80 days in rehab. Then he got to go back to work. But the good news is, at least he's in the Guinness World Book for that. So
Yeah.
he flew 118
I
feet.
wouldn't want to be in the Guinness Book of Records for anything,
I would. I think
especially
it'd be
not
cool.
for something like that.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be in for
It must
that.
be a guy thing. I
Apparently
don't get
is.
it.
I've always thought it would be kind of fun. So anyway, this guy was flying through the air on that. Coming up here in a bit, we're going to tell you about another man who could fly. We've got a guest coming up, and he's got a book about St. Joseph of Copertino, the man who could fly. That's on the way.
John and Heidi.
The John and Heidi Show is brought to you in part by the Keystone Treatment Center.
This is your brain, and this is your brain on drugs. We share silly stories here on the program, but addiction is no joke. If you or someone you know suffers with an addiction to drugs or alcohol, make today the day you seek help.
Call toll-free 844-204-1055.
That's a toll-free number. Again,
844-204-1055.
and this is your brain on drugs. One fun thing about being a drug dealer is you can afford really cool pets that nobody's ever heard of before.
Okay.
You ever notice that some of these drug dealers, they got just the weirdest things? Well, drug agents have seen just about everything, but they've seen a really strange beast recently. Narcotics investigators in Riverside, California came across an animal that was later identified as a cotamundi.
I have no clue what that is.
Well, here's what it is. It's a creature with a long snout, with bear-like claws, and a tail like a raccoon.
Oh, weird.
Really tough cops admitted they were really scared to even touch this thing. Speaking of strange things, the other day on Facebook, Heidi shared a video of some weird-looking sea creature.
Yeah, I'm not sure what this thing was.
Where did you see that?
Somebody told me it was a sea centipede.
A sea centipede?
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
It was nasty.
It was on the dock. Somebody had set it on the dock, and it was this little squirmy, wormy
Looked like
thing.
something from the movie Alien.
Yeah, it does not look like it's
nasty.
from this world. Anyway, that was kind of creepy. But this thing, how do they...
We'll have to look it up and see what that thing looks like.
This coatamundi?
Yeah.
All right,
I'd kind of like to see it.
Yeah, it says it's got a long snout, bear-like claws, and a tail like a raccoon. So
Interesting.
That's the one. I'm not saying that you should be a drug dealer because get your money the legal way, but you can still have a cool pet. But they got some just bizarre things. Anyway, that's what happens when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
We used to have an above-ground swimming pool, and
We did.
My two least favorite things were trying to fill it up because it took forever, and then
Right.
trying to keep it clean.
Right.
Well, there's a guy in Orange County, Florida, that decided, hey, I'm gonna fill up a swimming pool really quick. This guy is now under investigation for using a county tanker truck. He's a firefighter. He used county property, their tanker truck, to fill up a swimming pool.
Okay.
Tanker 82 pulled up to the fence and used a fire hose to fill a pool. The homeowner, William Vasquez, also works for the fire department, and there's going to be a hearing to decide what disciplinary actions, if any, the fireman and his lieutenant will face for using county property to fill up their swimming pool.
Huh.
Now, here's the thing. I think it would be really cool if, first of all, hopefully they get permission, but I think that would be an awesome service. If the fire trucks say, hey, you know what, you want to
for
fill
X
your pool?
amount for a
Make
donation to the fire department.
Because there's a lot of fire departments that could utilize the money. So if you have a volunteer fire department, we've got a friend he's one of the fire chiefs at a volunteer fire department. They always struggle for money. So here's a way to do it. Say, we'll come out and fill up your pool with the tanker truck, as long as there's not a fire going on, of course. But that's, I don't have a problem with that if they do it the right way. But it sounds like these guys didn't do it the right way.
I think that would be a great idea.
I think so, too. Coming up, we've got your scoop of the day. That is on the way.
The Scoop of the Day is brought to you by Wells Blue Bunny. If you want delicious ice cream, be sure to look for the Blue Bunny. Sure to have your favorite flavors. Learn more at bluebunny.com.
Now, your scoop of the day. From Spokane, Washington, comes word that an argument about garbage between neighbors escalated until one neighbor began threatening the other with a sword-like weapon from Star Trek. Carlos Cerruti, he's 50 by the way, has been charged with assault after allegedly swinging his Klingon batala.
Oh my gosh.
Multiple blades on this thing. He was swinging at his neighbor because they were fighting over the garbage.
That's ridiculous.
I don't exactly know what's going on there, but guys, you're 50. Act your age.
It
Come
couldn't
on.
be a real weapon. I mean, aren't
Well,
all those Star Wars things like just toys?
Well, I'm assuming so.
Or Star Trek? Was it Star Trek or Star
Trek,
Wars?
this one was. So, Anyway, moving on. A plan to drive teenage thugs out of the park in Sydney, Australia is kind of backfiring. It's not necessarily backfiring because I think it's worked to get the kids out. They've been blaring loud Barry Manilow music.
What?
Yeah, they've been blaring loud Barry Manilow music in the park in Sydney, Australia to get the kids to leave.
I thought you meant the thugs were blaring. I was like, wow, that's unusual.
No, they've been trying to get these thugs to leave. But the problem is now the neighbors are complaining that, hey, yeah, the thugs are gone, but can you turn the music down? I'd like to get some sleep. That was why we didn't want the thugs there. Anyway, moving right along. Hey, by the way, the most expensive nap I've ever taken was at a Barry Manilow concert.
Yes, it was. I actually liked Barry Manilow.
We went to Las Vegas when Barry was singing there, and I was so tired. I fell asleep like after the first song, and Heidi woke me up at the end. I missed the entire concert.
Yeah, well, you fall asleep everywhere.
I write the songs that make John fall asleep. No, not so much? Okay. Hey, a small town in Canada's Northwest Territories finally getting a cut of the hairdressing trade. The town of Norman Wells is home to about 800 people, but the closest place to get your hair done was 17 hours away.
Whoa!
A hairdresser in Edmonton, Alberta, located 930 miles
Whoa.
southeast, has finally reached out and offered his services. He plans to start taking appointments in the town later this month. So that's going to be a whole lot of hair to cut. 930
That's
miles.
Insane.
Yeah.
Why doesn't somebody just open a salon?
I don't know. 800 people. That should be enough to keep
Yeah?
people. You'd think. Australian authorities this week seized $890.5 million worth of liquid methamphetamines, also known as ice. It's the largest haul of the illicit drug in 2 years. 4 Chinese nationals have been charged with the importation and manufacture of the drug, and they were hiding it inside art supplies and gel bra inserts. So you get this gel bra filled with liquid ice, which is some sort of drug. $890 million worth of it. Wow. Hey, a new study shows that more and more Americans are taking laptop computers on vacations in order to get ahead of work-related projects. I can see that.
There's no point in even going on vacation if you're taking a computer with you.
I bring my computer along so I can stay ahead. So that I do it. Police say 2 pedestrians were hit by blow darts while walking across the Golden Gate Bridge last week. Yeah. 2 different people were walking across the Golden Gate Bridge, and they were both hit by blow darts.
Wow.
I'm not exactly sure who's doing that. Sounds like something out of a movie, doesn't it?
It does.
Hey, if you're thinking of quitting smoking, it might be a good time to do it. Researchers monitored Google searches for 5 years, and guess which day of the week has the most people searching for help quitting smoking?
Monday.
Yeah, how did you know that?
Because usually everybody at the beginning of a new week says, "This is the week I'm going to start my diet today. I'm going to quit smoking today.
I'm already 2 days late."
Yeah, I just that's the day every week that I say, "Okay, this week I'm starting my diet." So
and when have we started? we still haven't? What? Are you serious? Anyway, so they're saying that if you're wanting to quit smoking, not that Monday's the day to do it, but today is the day to do it. Every day that is the new day. Today's the day. All right, time for a strange law. Comic book lovers beware. In Oklahoma, it's a violation to read a comic book while driving. Well,
it should be illegal to read anything while driving.
That law only applies to comic books. So if you want to read another book while you're driving in the state of Oklahoma, apparently that's fine. There's no law against that. But it is against the law to read a comic book while driving. That is a strange law. This has been your Scoop of the Day.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. And you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. Start earning 6%. Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com right now. What are you waiting for? Go to commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, that's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.
John and Heidi.
Thank you so much for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest on the line right now. We're going to be talking about something that just absolutely fascinates me. We have Michael Grosso, Ph.D. He's the author of The Man Who Could Fly. We're not talking about Superman. We're talking about St. Joseph of Copertino and the Mystery of Levitation. And we've got Dr. Michael Grosso on the line right now. How are you, sir?
Fine, and good morning.
Well, I'm fascinated with this subject. And there's a guy, this is a true story about a true person, right?
Oh, absolutely, and a very well-documented story, too.
And now, what time frame was St. Joseph of Copertino alive? When did this happen? It wasn't just yesterday. It's a while back, right?
No. He was born in 1603 and died in 1663. So he lived during that turbulent century of the Counter-Reformation, the Scientific Revolution, war with the Protestants. This was a very turbulent period.
And to put that into perspective, 1492 is when Columbus set sail to find the New World. So it's before we became a country, but it was after they had discovered America. But it's a long, long time ago. Now, the man who could
400 years.
So 400 years ago. Now, The Man Who Could Fly is a book that you have out. Is this book, does it kind of chronicle all of the different things that happened during this man's lifetime?
Well, yeah. I mean, it mainly focuses on him and the phenomena, and it also it's comparative. It takes us into the contemporary scene as well, because the phenomena that Joseph exhibited so dramatically in the 17th century have still take place, in various shapes and forms. So yes, the book focuses on Joseph, but it makes a comparative study with similar cases.
Can you explain his levitation scientifically? Is there a scientific way to explain this?
Well, the subtitle of the book is The Mystery. That's what makes it so interesting. There are many things that science doesn't understand, and we don't understand how a person can be in a state of mind that is called ecstasy, and that somehow the temporarily power of gravity should cease to affect him. That is a mystery. And although modern physicists are a little more, I think, receptive, I have a chapter in the book where I talk about the physics, speculations on the physics of levitation. And so there are possible ways that we can begin to understand this. But as things stand, it's quite a mystery.
Now, are there lessons that you're hoping the reader will take away from the book as they read the different things that happened here and kind of learn more about St. Joseph of Copertino, the Mystery of Levitation? Are there things you'd like the reader to actually take away from this?
Well, one of the things that I would like the reader to come away with is a sense that we human beings, Joseph was a human being, we human beings possess abilities that, for the most part, we're even only remotely aware of. Healing abilities, physical capacities, the ability to perceive beyond the constraints of time and space. All of these things, for which we have all different kinds of evidence, are part of our legacy as human beings. Unfortunately, we live in an age very dominated by a scientific materialist perspective. You won't get much sympathy. Individuals who are committed to this way of looking at the world, or much interest or much receptivity to the ideas, some of the ideas that I describe in this book. One of my aims is to excite the imagination not only of the general public, but of scientists who want to get into some of the deeper dimensions of human reality that we have forgotten or don't pay sufficient attention to.
Do you think we could learn, as just a regular person, do you think we could all learn how to expand our consciousness to maybe help grow the abilities that we have, like this St. Joseph of Copertino did?
Absolutely. And I think that there are recognized ways of tuning into our more creative self. And one of them is simply quieting the mind down. When you meditate, and you focus on one thing. Joseph was always focused on the sacred dimension of reality. His mind was in one place, always striving for the heavenly, the divine element. So it doesn't have to work that way for us. We don't necessarily have to be religious to tune into our creative potential. But we do have to learn how to respect our minds and learn how to meditate, learn how to quiet down, learn how to temporarily withdraw our attention from all the confusing incoming stimuli that keep us in a constant dither. So the answer is yes, there are many ways that we can go about doing this, but that's the gist of it. You have to sort of learn to use your mind in a new way and get it focused on whatever it is that you're aiming to achieve and keep it there. That's not an easy thing to do.
Again, the book is called The Man Who Could Fly, St. Joseph of Copertino and the Mystery of Levitation. Now, I'm seeing in here that you've got some information that says there may be some connections with levitation, near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, ghosts, apparitions, reincarnation. What all those things kind of tie into, and what do they all have in common?
Well, what they all have in common is backing away. I mean, a near-death experience is like a deep meditation. You pull your mind out and away from the world when you meditate. When you have a near-death experience, your brain is stopped from its normal functions, and you are, in a sense, ripped out of the circuit of everyday life and everyday response to the world. It's in those moments of crisis, moments of meditation, sometimes in dreams when our attention is withdrawn from the external world, that it's more likely that we can contact or tune in to these latent potentials. Artists know how to do this thing. They engage, for example, many painters and poets let ideas incubate in their minds, surrender to the spontaneous flow of their imagination. They have to get out of their normal, everyday mindset, which is geared toward survival and making it in the everyday world, and that's perfectly natural and understandable. Sometimes we have to break those habits and deliberately open ourselves up to the influence of the more creative dimensions of our reality.
I appreciate you taking some time to visit with us today. Again, the book is available right now. Where can we find a copy of the book, sir?
Well, I suppose Amazon would do it. Then you could also get onto my website, which is consciousness-unbound.net. The listeners could tune in there and get onto my website, see what I'm about, and order the book directly from Amazon.
Well, thank you again for taking the time to chat with us today, sir.
Thank you for inviting me. My pleasure.
And again, the book is called The Man Who Could Fly, St. Joseph of Copertino and the Mystery of Levitation. Thank you so much for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
This portion of the program is brought to you by Keystone Treatment Center. Addiction is no laughing matter. Call Keystone Treatment Center toll-free at 1-844-204-1055.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Pantherophobia is the fear of what? Pantherophobia?
Ink.
No, your mother-in-law. I do not have that. I'm not afraid of my mother-in-law. I think she's awesome. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Did you know that the microwave was invented after a researcher walked past a radar tube at a factory where they were working, like in a lab, and
it melted his chocolate bar.
Yeah.
I did know that. Yes,
Yeah.
I did.
Well, you did? Well,
Yes, I did.
You're smarter than the average
I
bear.
believe I learned that on Tuesdays with Charlie.
You might have. Hey, fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
The average person falls asleep in 7 minutes.
Really? I
You're
do
below
not.
average. It takes you way long. I'm above average. I fall asleep before I even hit the bed. I fall asleep walking to bed. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
There are 336 dimples on a regulation golf ball.
Really?
Now you know. Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Dreamt is the only English word that has the letters M-T at the end.
Yeah.
D-R-E-A-M-T. And I think I have spelt it with a P in there. D-R-E-A-M-P-T. Dreamt. But it's dreamt. There's no P. I didn't know that. Now I know. That's your fun facts. Coming up, we've got bad habits to avoid at the office on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by RadioReallyWorks.com. I know you're listening to a podcast, but did you know the John and Heidi Show is also a radio show? And for those of you who have businesses, you should consider using radio to advertise your business. We can even help you create some catchy little jingles or amazing radio ads that will help pull people in. Get all the details or just learn more at RadioReallyWorks.com. That's RadioReallyWorks.com.
John and Heidi.
Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. I've got a list of bad habits to avoid at the office. This is from Career Builder, and they say these things can harm your career, so don't do this
Have
stuff.
we read this list before?
I don't think so. I just got it, so I think it's new. Bad habit number 1, missing deadlines. They're saying, if they say I need this by Tuesday at noon, have it to them by Tuesday at noon.
That's common sense.
Because if you don't, there's a stack of other people that want your job, so don't do that. If they give you a deadline, hit the deadline. Next one, bad habit, dressing unprofessionally.
Duh.
So if you come into work not dressing the way that you should, especially if you've been notified about this, if they say, hey, come on, Heidi, you got to start wearing pants to work. I mean, okay, maybe that's a bad example because she's never come to work without pants. But I did come to work without shoes.
Yes, you did.
I
Today,
have
in
them.
fact.
Well, they're sitting here. I just haven't put them on yet. I'm gonna. We were running late. Bad habit number 3, not being punctual. So if you have a job where you're supposed to be there at 8...
If you need this list, you probably should start looking for another job right now because...
This is what we're here for, Heidi. We're here to inform and enlighten people. But they say, if you like to show up 5 minutes late, don't be surprised if you show up 5 minutes late and there's somebody else doing your job and they've replaced you. Because especially when things are tight and there's a lot of people looking for jobs, make sure you're on time.
That's right.
Another bad habit, checking your personal email or playing games or shopping online. Don't do this stuff at work. Do this stuff at home or on a break, but don't do this stuff at work. No, this isn't the last. There's a couple more. Bad habit, gossiping. I mean, if you hear a rumor, just leave it there. Don't share it because if you're gossiping, when it is time to make a cut, who do you think is going to get cut first?
Right.
The people that are stirring up problems. Another bad habit, being negative. Smile and be happy. Everybody has problems. Just don't share them with everybody. And then the last thing is, bad habit is trying to be everybody's friend.
Yeah.
If you're too sociable and you're, getting in everybody's business, that's bad too. So again, this list from Career Builder. Stick around. We've got help on the way. We're going to talk about help on the way. That is on the way.
This portion of the program is brought to you by RVRealtor.com. If you want to buy or sell an RV, go to RVRealtor.com. List your RV for free. Learn more at RVRealtor.com.
Hey ladies, are you wishing that your man would help you out more around the house? If you're afraid that he maybe if he offered to help and you wouldn't know and he wouldn't know how to do it, you can send him
We're
to school.
professionals.
I'm just saying, the way that line was written is kind of funny. Well, there's a school in Vienna that's teaching men how to brush up on their domestic skills. They're
That's
teaching
nice.
men
That's
how to
nice.
iron, teaching men how to do laundry, teaching men how to cook for 200 shillings. You know how much that is in American dollars?
48 cents.
No, $16. So for $16 or 200 shillings, the Heising Volkshochschulen in Austria will introduce novices to the delights of housework. The class will vary from 90 minutes to 2 hours, and it will conclude with a diploma. So they'll get a diploma. 1,700 shillings. I don't know how much that is. They don't have that on here. 200 shillings with $16. You do the math.
That sounds like an angry school.
Women can buy vouchers entitling their men to complete package, including ironing, sorting, washing, basic cooking, and dress sense. Do I need any of these? I know how to do it. I just don't do it.
Right. I mean, dress sense, like on what kind of clothes to wear, that you could use some help with.
You saying that this stuff doesn't match? All right, coming up, we're going to find out if it's better to be tall or short. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
These kind of studies, like this next one that we're going to talk about, kind of make me mad because these are things we can't control. But it says, here's the headline, taller people are happier than shorter people. Here's the thing. I don't care if you're tall or short. You can be happy. I think a lot of that has to do with just your state of mind.
Right.
But I'll read what they're saying. This is from Gallup and Healthway's Well-Being Index. They found that every extra inch in height gives us as much satisfaction as 4% more. The study found that people that are taller are not only more satisfied with their lives in general, but they're also more likely to report positive emotions like enjoyment and happiness, and less likely to report emotions like anger, sadness, and stress. According to the Gallup study, it would take a 29% increase in income to have the same effect on men's life satisfaction as moving from below average to above average in height. So here's the thing that I will say. I know people who are tall. I know people who are short. I know people who are average height. I don't think their height has anything to do with them being happy. As a matter of fact, I know some people who are tall. I know one person in particular that's tall that really is kind of less happy because people are always asking how tall he is.
Yeah.
And here's what he hears, because I asked him. I said, why does it bother you when people ask you how tall they are? He said, because here's what I hear. Man, you're a freak. And I said, oh, that's not what they mean at all. I said, and I was saying this, a lot of people would like to be taller. I'd like to be an inch taller. That's why I wear high heels. Just kidding. I don't really. Anyway, again, this report is from Gallup and Healthway's Wellbeing Index. Stick around. Going to talk about your breath. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you have funds earning less than 6%, listen to this. Commercial mortgage bridge loans pay 6% to 8%. That might be just what you need. You're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges, and you can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. I'll give you a toll-free number to call, 888-547-8007. Start earning 6% now. Call 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
You know anybody with bad breath?
Yeah.
Why are you pointing at me?
I wasn't pointing at anybody.
It says, if you know somebody with bad breath, maybe at office, at the school, you might want to give them a list of things like this and reasons why they could have bad breath. First thing on the list, poor dental hygiene, like they're insufficiently brushing or flossing. Another one is periodontal gum disease. It's caused by bacteria that forms on the teeth, like plaque. Improperly fitting or poorly cleaned dentures. So if you wear dentures and they're not fitting properly, that could cause it. A foreign body in the nose, like a piece of old tissue, is more common with children, but that can actually cause bad breath.
Really?
Dry mouth could actually cause it as well. It's exostomia. I'm probably saying that wrong. May be caused by certain medications or medical conditions that decrease the production of saliva, and it can actually give you an issue where you have bad breath, especially while you're sleeping. Tobacco products cause bad breath. Drinks, such as coffee and alcohol. I like coffee.
I like alcohol.
Foods containing volatile oils like onions, garlics, and others. They are absorbed into the bloodstream. Illness, diabetes, kidney disease, postnasal drip, sinus, gastroesophageal reflux disease, those things all cause bad breath. And the last thing on this list, high protein or extreme caloric restricting diets may trigger the body into a state of ketosis, and that causes what they call fruity breath. We were on a diet that that the two of us, my wife here, Heidi and I did, that caused us to go into ketosis. And I remember when we had that, I quite often I was like,
Yeah.
I think I need a mint or something.
Yeah.
Because something's not right. So anyway, if you know somebody that's got an issue with the breath, that could be one of those things right there. And that's one of those things where you don't just walk up and say, hey,
you need
stink.
to you need to
You do
approach that very carefully.
You're probably going to fix the problem because they won't hang around you anymore. So be really nice about it. But if you want to help, there's a way to help. Stick around. We're going to talk about a free marriage assessment for you. Yeah, you. It's on the way.
John and Heidi.
This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We always try to wrap this program up with something positive, and I think this is pretty cool. Now, the two of us have been married for 16 years now.
Yes, we have.
Time flies when you're having fun, folks. Seems like it's been way, way, way less than that. There's a group out there that's giving away a free marriage assessment. So if you're married and you're going, you know, I'd like to have an assessment done on my marriage, Dr. Greg and Aaron Smalley have spent years studying why marriages thrive. Listen to this. They have found that there are 12 behaviors that consistently make up for great marriages. These 12 behaviors are in almost every great marriage. Based on that research and that experience, the Smalleys work with Focus on the Family. They've created a valid and reliable questionnaire, and they use the evaluation of these 12 strengths and the 12 essential traits for your marriage. Areas such as communication and conflict and commitment. And now married couples can take this assessment for free on their website. I'm going to throw a link on our Facebook page so you can do it if you want to do it. This sounds cool. Would you? We're almost done here. When we get done, would you do this marriage assessment?
Sure, we should take that.
If we fail, maybe we won't be back tomorrow. I'm just kidding. You know what? I think we're going to be fine. Now, I'm not going to say that we have a perfect marriage because we don't.
Nobody does.
I don't think anyone does. But here's the thing that I will say. On all the things that matter, I think you and I agree pretty darn strongly. Now, there are disagreements we have all the time, but it's all just the little things. And I think that that's really important. And for me, one of the best things about our marriage is I think we both have a pretty darn good sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
So there are times where we'll be upset about something, and then one of us will make the other one smile, and then all of a sudden this upset turns into, we're chuckling and having a good time.
Right.
So anyway, I'll throw a link on our Facebook page, facebook.com/John and Heidi Show. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great Wednesday.
Time now for the bonus break. Only available here on the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by the good folks at Knowles Systems. If you haven't heard of them, well, you need to listen up because I got to tell you all about this. If you have funds earning less than 6%, maybe you should check into a better system like Knowles Systems. They have commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. If you've never heard of a commercial mortgage bridge loan, I'm going to tell you what this is. It's a loan paying 6% to 8%, and it could be just what you need. You're placed in the first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels and apartments and office buildings. Your principal never fluctuates in value. You receive 6% per year paid monthly, and your principal is returned in full at the end of each cycle. You never pay commissions, management fees, or asset charges. You can make these loans inside or outside of an IRA. If you'd like more info on how you can start earning 6% or more right now, call 888-547-8007. I'll give you that number again in a second, but first, you might want to just check out the website if that's easier. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Again, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com or 888-547-8007.
John and Heidi.
And your bonus break is brought to you by our good friends at Knowles Systems. If you have money that's earning less than 6%, maybe you need a better system. They've got a great system, and they've got a thing called a commercial mortgage bridge loan, and those things pay 6 to 8% guaranteed, and it might be just what you need. And the cool thing is you're placed in first position on loans secured by high-quality commercial real estate like hotels, apartments, and office buildings. So if you'd like to know more about this, I'm going to give you a website. It's really simple. commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. Now I'll give you a phone number. That's easy, too. It's toll-free. 888-547-8007. Call and check it out. Again, it's commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com. So, Heidi, could singing control pain?
I think so, yeah.
Doctors at Royal North Shore Hospital in Sydney, Australia have been prescribing 3 half-hour singing sessions each week for 3 weeks as part of their pain management program. I know singing can also cause pain if it's the wrong person singing.
Well, for the listener, yes, but for the person singing, I think singing always helps, no matter what you're feeling. I think it's a good thing, yeah.
You ever talk to your dog?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Yeah, we're nuts. We talk. We have 2 dogs. We talk to them all the time. Lots of people do that, but some people are taking it to a whole new level. An American Animal Hospital Association poll shows that 33% of dog owners admit that they talk to the dogs on the phone.
Oh, that's
They'll call
ridiculous.
and leave messages for them while they're gone.
That's ridiculous.
That's a bit much. I don't do that.
No, we do not do that.
But we do talk to them all the time, so we're just as nuts. Who wants to go outside? Do you want a treat? Good girl. Hey, a 54-year-old man who routinely complained of fake chest pains to avoid paying the tab for restaurant meals may have gotten his just dessert. A judge in Maine sentenced Elias? I don't know. Anyway, on Friday, he got 90 days in jail after he pled guilty for theft of services. The sentence followed the recommendations of the district attorney, who said back in August he had an incident at a townhouse restaurant, and this was the 13th time that he tried to skip out on a check by pretending he was having trouble breathing and was having a heart attack. Authorities say he would order dinner and drinks, eat, enjoy, and then pretend to need medical assistance when the check arrived. He would be taken to a hospital, but usually left before police would arrive. Then he would do this over and over and over. I remember being at a restaurant.
Yeah, I was just going to say that we've witnessed that before.
We were in a restaurant, and there was a guy who pretended to be choking.
Yes.
Because I went over to give him the Heimlich maneuver. I could feel him breathing on my arm.
Yeah.
You know, because I kept asking if it was okay. And I don't think he was expecting someone to help him that quick. We were sitting right next to him, and as soon as his wife said, "Are you okay?" And he was, pretending like he was choking.
Yep.
I went over and started helping him, and I could tell that he was fine, but then he kept pretending to not be fine. And somebody else came over, and it was crazy because we sat at our table, and they said, "We're going to comp your meal. We're going to do." They were doing all this stuff.
I don't know why they would. It's not their fault if the guy choked.
And
I don't understand how having a medical issue would prevent you from paying your bill.
I said, "I think we just witnessed a scam." I said, "That guy was fine."
Yeah.
But they were like, "Do you need the ambulance? Because we can call. And the guy was like, "No, I think I'll be fine now. I just need to get some more water." And he the whole time I was watching, and I was like, "He's not. That doesn't look like somebody who's fearing that they just about died. It looks to me like this. I really think we witnessed a scam." So anyway, this guy got caught. He's done this over and over and over. Did it say in there 13 times? At one restaurant. So at the same restaurant, he's done this 13
You'd think he'd
times.
at least mix it up if he's going to try and get away with something. Sooner or later, they're going to catch on, saying,
well,
you know what?
90 days in jail
dummy.
he's getting. So is that what it was? I just deleted it, but
Yeah.
90 days
He
in jail.
He should have at least gone to different places.
No. Hey, some guys will do anything to meet the girl of their dreams. A British man was willing to get in trouble with the law to meet the right person. He saw an attractive policewoman. For 3 months, Colin O'Neill kept parking his car illegally to get a date with the traffic cop.
Oh, that's funny.
Doris Lemon. Finally, the two connected when Lemon fined him for his traffic violation. Colin said, "When Doris booked me, I didn't mind because I thought she looked so wonderful in her uniform." Doris, who at first thought he was stalking her, obviously has similar feelings for Colin because the two are getting married now.
How cool is that? I think that's kind of neat.
That is weird. How'd you guys meet? Well, I saw her as I was driving down the road one day, and I just kept parking illegally until I finally got the ticket from her. And the rest, as they
Why
say.
not just ask her out? Why not just walk up to her and ask her out? You don't have to break the law.
I don't know. I think that's really funny. Hey, it's quite the predicament for an Oklahoma car salesman. Here's the story. 27-year-old Ryan Miller was sentenced to 5 weekends in jail on a misdemeanor charge to avoid foreclosure on his home. He had to work over the weekend, so he called 30-year-old Russell Maurer to see if he would go to jail for him, and he agreed.
Oh my
What
gosh.
Miller didn't realize is that the guards remembered what he looked like from his previous week, and now he could face life in prison. Yeah. Meantime, Maurer could also face prison time if convicted of impersonation. So the guy that went there to fill in for him.
You know what? That's a good friend.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody that I know that I would be like, sure, I'll go to jail for you.
Just for the weekend. You want to go hang out for the weekend? Yeah, that's fine. I'll go.
That's a good friend.
That is a good friend. All right. I think that's going to pretty much wrap things up. You know what? I'll do one last thing because I got a couple stories down here. And this one right here is an interesting story. A church in Texas started a $1 million construction project. And it's not even for a church. This is a church that's doing this. It's $1 million construction project. Guess what they're building?
What's that?
The largest cross in the United States.
Okay.
Organizers, and I'm not saying that's bad. I think it's kind of cool, but I'm like, $1 million? That's a lot of dough. Organizers of the Corpus Christi Cross Project broke ground in Texas earlier this month. Pastor Rick Milby of the Abundant Life Fellowship campus said that the cross is expected to stand 210 feet, and it's going to be 95 feet wide. It's going to take about $1 million to complete. Right now, they've raised $142,000. So why is it going to cost so much is my question.
I don't know. That's
I
crazy.
don't understand why that would
I don't know
cost
why
so
it's a
much.
necessity. It seems to me like
I don't think it's a
there
necessity.
are better places that
Oh,
that
yeah.
money could go.
I agree.
To me,
and
but-
you know, here's the thing. If they've got the money to do it, but it sounds like they don't. So, I don't know. To me, that's a very interesting thing. But I think it'll be cool. It's going to be, over 200 foot tall. So they're going to probably have to put a light on the top of it so they don't get hit by airplanes and stuff. Because that's big. That's tall. It's like a radio tower. Anyway, it's going to do it for your bonus break, brought to you by Knowles Systems. If you'd like to learn more about commercial mortgage bridge loans that pay 6 to 8%, I'll tell you how you can find out. Go to their website, commercialmortgagebridgeloans.com.